Well, g'day guys. Welcome to another round wrap-up. Bit of a new background behind me. Got some new posters. I am missing one. That is because one of those is in my work office. And then I've still got to buy one more Tigers one because I've got the back-to-back. I've got the 2019. Then I've got West Coast 2018, Bulldogs 2016, the Hawks 13, and the three-peat 2008, of course, 2022, 2021. So I'm missing 2017 and is it 2014? 2014 will come in the next couple of weeks. 2017 when I just want to go get it. But yeah, round so far, round wrap-up. It was an interesting round of footy. We had some half-decent matches and then a couple of blowouts. Off the top, Adelaide are looking absolutely incredible. They are, I think, right now, my top four favourites. They're my top four bolters. And I love it. I love to see them actually doing really, really well. And their forward line is looking so good. And this man right here, Jordan Flippin Dawson, if the All-Australian team was selected right now, he would be the captain. 1,000% would be the captain. And let's have a look through. The other people that would be in the All-Australian team right now, there's not many that you'd select straight away. There's not many that you go, yep, they're a lock. Like, I'm just looking through some footy cards that I got today. Like, I'm looking through them and I'm like, none of you are an absolute lock in an All-Australian team right now. Like, maybe Chad Warner, Isaac Cumming would be in the 40 for sure. But yeah, if you were selecting an All-Australian team, Jordan Dawson would be your number one pick. And he's shown that the last 5 weeks. He's been best on ground the last 2 weeks. Voted best on ground in the showdown, but shouldn't have been, but still played a very good game. Josh Rochelle is just a hype man. But Adelaide, St Kilda, these types of teams have done this to us before. They've drawn us in, got us excited about their team, and then just fallen apart after the bye. So I know a lot of Adelaide supporters and St Kilda supporters are cooling their jets at the moment. They're excited, they're hyped, but they're not looking to finals just yet because of what's happened in the last few years. And I think that was a big wake-up call for Carlton as well. I think they went in a little arrogant going into that game. And as a lot of people are saying, Charlie and Harry just don't work so well together at the moment. They're not as good as they should be. They should be so much better. And I think they need to take a trip somewhere together and just get to know each other and stay back at training, get to know each other's leading patterns and all that type of stuff, because they're just getting in each other's way, or they're both going way too far up the ground and then there's no one to mark the ball when it comes inside 50. So they'll get there. It'll take time. Hopefully it clicks soon, because losing games against Adelaide and like bits and pieces like that, drawing against Richmond, which they should have flogged Richmond in round one. Like, they're doing well, but that loss, I think, to Adelaide means so much more. You can tell that Doherty is the heart and soul of that team. Him not being there, running off half-back, chopping through the midfield, going onto the wing is massive. Sam Walsh going back in, huge, but yeah. Fremantle, Gold Coast, it was a good game. It was good for the last 5 minutes. Fremantle, I think, finally found their... Where am I? Play stats, that's what I want. I think they finally found a forward line that's going to sort of work. I think when Nat Fyfe comes back in, he's a resting half forward. I would say I would put him as a resting half forward. But having Jai Amos in there, Matthew Johnson played very, very well through the midfield. So I think they found some players that can do some exciting things and can actually beat targets up forward, which is really, really cool. So hopefully they can just stick it out and keep going. Gold Coast just kept showing that they have a bit more work to do. Took Miller, Noah Anderson, Lockie Weller, David Swallow, Jack Lukosius. Jack Lukosius, I think, would be in an All-Australian 40 squad right now. If you're picking the starting 23, then you probably wouldn't have him straight away, but he'd definitely be in the talking point right now. He's having a very good season so far. Hayden Young as well for Freo. There's some players there that are doing quite well. Now, there were some very interesting other games this weekend. I'm not going to dive into like the floggings. Sydney, Richmond, both of them had key outs, but I think Richmond's outs were bigger than Sydney's. Not having Tom Lynch, Nankervis, Soldo, Tarrant, Gibkiss, like these types of players, Graham, are massive outs for Richmond. Sydney losing the McCartan brothers is big, and losing Franklin not as big because they've got forwards to cover, but like they had targets down forward that they were able to kick to and give marks to, and Richmond just didn't have that in the end. Ben Miller is just too young. Tyler Young showed some things which was really cool as a backman, so hopefully they can really help him grow, and him and Gibkiss can be like a good 1-2 punch down back for the next 10 to 12 years. Hopefully they can have a good career down there, but yeah, they need to find a marking target up forward, because even Ryan wasn't. He was there, he was good, he was in the right positions, but couldn't clunk the marks. Needed some more grippo in his hands. Brisbane just did what they needed to do against North, beat them by 75. Upset of the round was Essendon against Melbourne. Melbourne just looked slow. They looked really, really slow, and Essendon just came out firing. They were excited. They're playing a good brand of footy, and it's all handball game. So if you can stop Essendon's handball game, then you're going to beat them. But they were able to get handballs through. It's like the 2016 Bulldogs, 2016 Bulldogs, they did so well because they were able to handball through and then get that kick down to their forward line and take good marks, which Draper and what's his name? Draper and far out. Andrew Phillips and Sam Draper, they're two ruckmen. That is what you want from your resting ruckman. You don't want your two ruckmen, one to go to the bench, one to stay on. You want one to be able to go forward and convert. And that's where they did really, really well. And Melbourne's forward line just didn't function. Their midfield was okay. Petrarca, 27, 1 goal. Clayton Oliver, 41 disposals. But Clayton Oliver's disposals weren't spectacular. Like Clayton Oliver's disposal efficiency was, I'll tell you, give me a second. His disposal efficiency was 70%, which is all right for 41 disposals, but again, needs to be better. When you've got Sam Durham, 24 disposals, 91%. I think that's where Essendon kind of won. Their disposal efficiency was so much better than Melbourne's. But yeah, Essendon are showing some really good things alongside St Kilda, alongside Adelaide, that are, I think, surprising a lot of people. Port Adelaide did what they needed to do against a Bulldogs team that I just don't think are going to do much else this year. It's going to be an interesting year for them. Geelong did what they needed to do against West Coast on Sunday. And then the two games to finish off the round, far out. My heart just crumbled into pieces after the Hawks-Giants game. That was one of the coolest finishes I've seen. We should have won in the end, should have just converted better, shut them down coming out of the back line, but just an inexperienced side, lack of polish against a Giants team who had key position players in the right spots to ice the game and have some composure and finish off really well. Himmelberg, both ends, took almost Mark of the Year. I think if he took it out in front of him, it would have been hands down Mark of the Year already. But I think there's been ones that have been a bit better. He got height, but I think you got to take him in front of you. I think chest marks, unless they're like Andrew Walker, above the shoulders of one of the tallest players on the Essendon team, you gotta take it out in front of you. But yeah, his touch on the goal line, I am biased, so I don't think it was touched. I think it went through his hands. Don't think he touched it. Looking at all angles of the replay, there were no fingers that were actually bent back, but inconclusive evidence in the end, which sucks, but that's okay. I think it was a 50-50 call, maybe even more than 50-50. You'd probably call that touched every day of the week. But yeah, I'd love another angle just from like an umpire standing directly behind him just to see if it was touched. But it was a good game, very good game. Hawks have Adelaide next week. That's going to be a massive test, but I think we get back Mitch Lewis next week, hopefully, because that's the thing we are lacking at the moment. We are doing so well out of the midfield. Our midfield was dominant again this week, but we've got no one to kick to forward of the ball. And that's the thing that Essendon are doing really well. They've brought in 2 ruckmen in Draper and Phillips. We've got Reeves and Meek, but our ruckmen, one's going to the bench, one's going to the middle, one's going to the bench, one's going to the middle. And if one of them's resting forward, they're not doing anything down there. So I would say we'd bring Max Lynch in from the VFL. He had 40 hit-outs on the weekend. Or Max Ramsden, who kicked 4 goals again this week. So I think there's got to be change against an Adelaide defence who are very, very good at marking the ball and intercepting the ball as well. And I'd expect someone to come in to tag Jordan Dawson. Hopefully Finn McGuinness comes in again and does a job on him. But to finish off the round, it was a good game. Collingwood, St Kilda. Collingwood, I think they thought they had it wrapped up in the last 3 minutes of the game, and St Kilda went bang bang, kicked 2 goals, and then almost won the game if it wasn't for a really clutch mark and a good stoppage to just ice the game. But that was a cracker. It lived up to the hype of being what it should have been. Both teams missed a lot of set shots and could have been a lot more high scoring. But that's with everyone. I say this to a lot of people. I don't understand how you can be paid like $600,000 a year. Some of the key forwards in the game, 800 to 900 to $1 million, and you cannot convert a set shot. It blows my mind. Should be out there practicing in every type of weather condition. And before games, I'd be out there a couple of hours before just actually trying to nail every position of goal that I would try and kick in. I just don't get how they're missing so much. We'd have multiple players kicking 100 goals a season if they actually converted set shots. But yeah, some good games out of that round. If you're looking at the ladder, you've got St Kilda on top, Essendon second, Collingwood third, Carlton fourth. Anzac Day is going to be massive. Collingwood-Essendon is going to be the biggest Collingwood-Essendon game we've had in a long time. I think St Kilda are playing Carlton as well. I'm just making sure. Round 6. Yeah, St Kilda Carlton at Marvel on Sunday afternoon. That should be a shootout. Geelong Sydney should be a really good game. What else should be? Fremantle Bulldogs at Optus Stadium. That should be a very good game. Hopefully Fife's back for that one. And hopefully the Doggies get a couple of players back as well. But yeah, some good games next weekend. Melbourne Richmond. I'm intrigued to see how Richmond bounce back and also how Melbourne bounce back. And then Anzac Day is going to be massive. Absolutely massive. Can't wait for that one. 3:20 at the MCG. Going to be a big week of footy. And let's go through, we're going to go through the 9 things. I'm on the AFL website. Go through the 9 things we learned article that's written by the staff at AFL. Their first one, so it's the 9 things. Number 1, Blakey's versatility is one of Sydney's biggest weapons. I would say so, but I also think Chad Warner is their biggest weapon. But I understand where they're coming from because he's very versatile. I think that type of player, someone who can have that dash off halfback, but also run on the wing or go forward or just play man on in defence, is really, really handy to have. He was very good in defence and like gathering 30 possessions and attacking the ball really, really well in wet weather footy or reasonably like damp footy. He was quite nice. Dynamic Draper has solved Essendon's forward line issue. I don't think he's solved it. One game doesn't solve the issue, but he's helped it. And with Peter Wright to miss most of the season, I think they've found hopefully something to help them, but he needs to back it up on Anzac Day. Got to back it up on Anzac Day in front of a big crowd on Darcy Moore or Billy Frampton to actually solidify that line of he's solved it. Number 3, Port's start has been underestimated. I don't think it's been underestimated. I think it's been estimated quite perfectly. I think they're sitting where they should be sitting. I don't think they're sitting 9th, which is where a lot of people predicted them to be. They lost against Collingwood, lost against Adelaide, beat Brisbane, beat Sydney, and then beat the Bulldogs. So, it's not like they haven't beat a grand finalist from last year. Oh no, they beat Sydney, yeah. So, they're doing what they need to do. They just need to make it consistent, I think, now. They're only sitting 9th by percentage. They could be 5th. I think they're sitting just about where they need to be sitting. I think they're sitting at the estimated mark at the moment. And I think if they can do West Coast really, really well and flog them, I think they're the overestimated mark now. The underestimated mark. New Pie Hill continues to impress. I love Bobby Hill. I've moved him into my Supercoach team this week just because I love him. I love how exciting he is. I love the presence he's bringing into Collingwood's forward line. He's not replaced Ginnivan. I think he's actually added something different that Ginnivan couldn't do, and that's forward pressure and continued forward pressure for 4 quarters. But also, the way he gets up the ground and is able to double back, his two-way running is nuts. It's like his cousins in Brad. I think it's his cousin or uncle or something. They're related. I know that for a fact. But they're I think the way he's been able to add that to his game, he could easily be a wingman if they didn't have the likes of Dacos and Sidebottom and those guys. So he's done very, very well. That's the perfect line. New Pie Hill continues to impress. Absolutely. 3 more goals on Sunday. I think he could easily win an Anzac Day medalist. He could be an Anzac Day medalist. Number 5, Radigalea, the defender was worth fighting for. He's the defender that Geelong needed. He's absolutely the defender that Geelong needed. They haven't really had a really big, bustling, tall defender for a while. And he's come in and played that role really, really well. He flogged the Hawks with it. We just kept kicking it to him. And then a massive 6 intercept marks in the first quarter at Adelaide Oval. That's huge. It's absolutely massive. So, yeah, good line. Number 6, Tom Green will dominate games for years to come. He will, but he didn't actually have that good of a game on the weekend. So, I don't think this needs to be in there. Connor Nash went to him and kept him to 12 disposals. He didn't have a fantastic game, so I think there's other lines that he could have had. They could have had there. Don't forget Harris Andrews. I don't think anyone's forgetting him, but they played North Melbourne. So, again, I don't think that line needs to be in there. It's Harris Andrews, yes, very, very good footballer, but I don't think he needed to get that recognition. Fremantle needs a party starter. I think they're getting it. They just need some time to actually grow into that, and they need consistency in that forward line. With Matt Taberner out, with Fife out, with those guys out, they need someone down there to actually help him. And Luke Jackson's there. He's getting there. getting accustomed to their game type. But yeah, number 9 is perfect. The Crows may have the AFL's best forward line. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Thilthorpe, amazing. Tex Walker, Fogarty. They've got Shane McAdam that's waiting. They've got Rankin. They've got Rochelle. They've got all these players that can do so much damage in that forward line and are all dead eyes as well. So that's really, really good to see. It's awesome for South Australian football as well. So yeah, Adelaide doing very, very well. That's the 9 things we learned. Just a quick hot take. I think Geelong are done. I don't think that's even a hot take. I think Adelaide are winning the flag. It's huge. I think it's a massive call, yes, but the way they were able to tear Carlton apart on the weekend was massive. Absolutely ridiculous that they were able to do that. If they can back it up 2 weeks in a row, so they've got the Hawks, that should be an easy win for them. If they can flog the Hawks or win comfortably and show some really good passage of play, then I will put them number 1 on my premiership list. They'll be very, very good. Very, very good. So yeah, I will see you guys next week for the round wash-up. Can't wait. Hopefully we get this poster in. But yeah, we'll see you soon. Peace.